This is it. This is the weekend of college football everyone has been waiting for. Um, if you booked a fall wedding this weekend, you're a bad person. If you're going to a fall wedding this weekend, you're a bad person. There's more important things on, like watching these football games. It's the first of 2 weeks, really, of some really epic games. If y'all had to pick one, stay for a game that's not Oregon, what would you pick?
Texas, Oklahoma.
That's for you. I mean, that's always a classic. I just don't. I'll be shocked if Oklahoma can keep it close. So I think it kind of might be a bloodbath. I'm really excited, kind of low key, for Ole Miss LSU. I think that's going to be a really fun game, and I think we're going to learn a lot about Penn State traveling to USC. That's going to be an incredible game as well. So I can't choose. There's too many good ones.
It's fair. There's also a lot of fun Big 12 matchups this week, and we can finally start to get a pulse on what's going to happen there. So that's exciting.
There are
Iowa State, West Virginia.
BYU,
I would
Arizona.
choose Oregon, Ohio State for sure. I just didn't let you pick it because you're a fan. I would even pick Oregon, Ohio State over the CU game I'm going to. I'm so happy this game got scheduled for 8:15 at night because I get to watch the rest of this slate before walking into a live college football game. It's gonna be a great combo of things happening on Saturday. So let's not delay any further. Stefan, you have the most picks out of all of us, which makes sense. You run another college football podcast. This is kind of your jam. Why don't you kick us off with your first pick?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and last weekend was incredible. Like, who saw Vandy beating Alabama? I mean, just absolutely incredible. Vandy now has to travel to Kentucky, and it's like a 2-touchdown spread. And people are thinking this is a letdown spot. Vandy, no, Vandy's actually a very good team. Maybe very good is a stretch, but they're a good team. Like, they're
better than expected. Yes.
I mean, we saw them do this against Virginia Tech as well. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, Virginia Tech must really suck. Like, no, West Virginia, Vandy, I'm spoiling a pick for later. Vandy's a little bit better than people expected. And I just more think that even if this game doesn't feel close, I don't see Kentucky's offense getting up and scoring a bunch on Vanderbilt. The thing that impressed me most in that Vanderbilt victory last week was that they were pushing Alabama at the lines of scrimmage. Like, they have the dudes that can move bodies. And I think they're able to keep this within 2 touchdowns. So I'm buying a half point here and taking Vandy plus 14.
Yeah, I don't think this is an overreaction. I think it's easy to overreact to a big upset like that. But Vandy has been doing this to other teams. So it's not like a one-off. It wasn't like a one-off fluky game. I wouldn't say we did our preseason show being like, man, Vandy's it and gonna definitely clear this 2.5 win total, but we did pick them to clear it.
yes, we did.
I learned very quickly earlier this season to not bet against Vandy. I went like 0 for 3, and I was like, that's it. I'm done betting against Vandy for the season. So
yeah,
Diego Pavia. I was in a bar in New Mexicans cheering for Diego Pavia. It was pretty awesome. All right, Mike, why don't you give us your first pick?
Yeah, man, I'm going against the fandom here. I'm taking Mississippi State plus 21.5 points in the first half at Georgia.
That's a Stefan pick, picking against your own team.
I mean, dude, Georgia's ranked 115th in the country in first half scoring. They're averaging 7.5 points per game in the first half. Mississippi State is only 1 point less than that. Miss State is easily the worst team in the SEC. I don't think anybody's arguing that. But even Texas at home only beat them by a total of 22 points. It's been a theme last week. It'll be a theme this week for me. Like, the SEC games, they've been close this year. There's only been one game all season that has been of more than 3 scores. That was Texas and Miss State. So for Miss State to come within 21.5 points in the first half, I don't see Georgia doing it. The offense has not been explosive. Mike Bobo's play calling is never going to be explosive. Carson Beck is good. Steve, we all know you hate him. That's okay. But he is not in this system. He's never going to amount to his full talent, in my opinion. So I think Miss State comes within 21.5 in the first half with ease.
I just like watching Georgia games and just waiting for the inevitable. I'm paraphrasing here. Text from Mike that just is like, fucking Mike Bobo. like it's coming at some point.
Every
on our text
single
thread.
game.
It's so
Screen
good.
left, screen right, screen left, screen right.
So good. Stefan, any comments on that before you go? I agree. I think Georgia's been a little underwhelming, and I think, 21.5 in the first half. That's a big number for a team to cover. I like that.
You know, I kind of want to play an alternate version of it and just take the under 29.5 total points in the first half, because I don't see Mississippi State scoring on Georgia
No.
at all. So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm almost getting a free 8 points.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I like
No,
it. I like it.
I do like that too. I am going to take a total for my first pick, but I'm going to do a team total. I'm going to go over to the ACC, and we're going to go over to Syracuse, who really like Syracuse this year. They have a shot at this ACC title if Miami ends up tripping finally one of these games. We'll see. Anyways, Syracuse team total over 30.5 points against NC State. Syracuse has blown this number out 4 out of their 5 games. I railed on North Carolina State's terrible defense last week, so why wouldn't I bet against it again when they're playing a really great offense? Kyle McCord, who last I checked is playing. Y'all need to correct me. I feel like I don't get my tweet updates as fast as you all do. Anyways, Kyle McCord, second in college football right now with 17 touchdowns, third in passing yards, and absolutely lighting it up. Where I don't see where NC State stops them. And the fact that, honestly, I really expected their team total to be a lot higher than this. So I'll take 30 points for sure. I think you can buy. I almost went to the 29.5. And you can have to give up a little extra juice, but I just feel like I might ladder this up to like 40 against NC State, to be quite honest. So it's probably my favorite pick of the day out of my 3.
Nice.
All right. Cool.
like
Stefan.
I like it. Let's can we go to the Big 12? I know we have a few picks in the Big 12. And I'm going to start out with some newish kids on the block here with this Cincinnati at UCF. This game in Florida. I kind of feel like I shouldn't be picking a game that's taking place in Florida, but go ahead and give me the dog. Give me Cincinnati +3. Sorsby's been a really kind of underratedly good quarterback. Cincinnati has been playing really, really well at times. And UCF, I think, was a little bit exposed against a very talented CU team. But I don't think any of us saw, maybe you did, Eric, but I didn't see CU shutting down that run game the way they were able to. No. And I think they kind of put a blueprint out on how you can slow down KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, and Penny Boone. So I'm going to take Cincinnati +3 on the road in Orlando. I kind of like the under in this one too, but I think it ends up being a bit of a rock fight, and Sorsby does just enough to cover that +3.
Dude, their kicker just transferred this week, so that's like 4.5, 5 transfers since CU broke them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying CU is some like playoff team or something. I'm just saying like for some reason that loss to CU, like multiple transfers. They kind of
lost their opportunity at the Big 12. In losing,
they really
game.
did, yeah, and therefore they lost a bunch of their people redshirted right away, all kinds of stuff. Anyways, yeah, I dig that. Since you might just outright win that game, why don't you give us another Big 12 pick, Stefan? We'll keep us rolling in the Big 12.
I'm going to take another road team here. The Cyclones are heading up to Morgantown. West Virginia has been a really kind of sneaky good team since that opening week loss, but I don't think they've played a team quite as good as Iowa State. Yeah. I actually think Rocco Becht is a good quarterback, best quarterback in Iowa State history, possibly. Yeah, I'm throwing shade on Brock Purdy right there. No, I do like Rocco Becht. And this Iowa State defense will travel. They pitched a couple shutouts this year already. So I just really like Iowa State on the road, favored by 3. It's not a big number. So, I'm not too scared about that. Like, if they win, they probably cover with a number that small. So go ahead and give me Iowa State -3. That's a really kind of, that has Big 12 championship implications, which means it has playoff implications, and it's Iowa State and West Virginia. It's kind of fun.
It's wild.
I think Iowa State's the only Big 12 team without like a huge letdown, right? Like without like a huge letdown. Like everyone else has kind of had their big like kind of
Yeah.
kind of shit the
Well,
bed.
yeah.
I feel like Iowa State's solid.
Yeah, I mean, them and BYU are the only two undefeated.
Oh,
teams that
BYU.
are
Forgot about the Mormons, man.
I've got to play in this game as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm taking the over 51.5 at -130. I agree with you on the quarterback play at Iowa State. I also think they have two sneaky stud wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. My only concern with Iowa State is the trenches. They just haven't been that good on either side of the ball. Meanwhile, West Virginia's running game is massive with their offensive line is just absolutely monstrous. So, like, I look at this game and I see two good offenses in two very different ways with good but not amazing defenses. So, getting over 51.5 doesn't feel that challenging to me. So I like points here. I like a 30 to 28, something around in there. Like, I think it could go pretty big here. So I'm taking the 51.5 over on that.
Can we get 32 to 28, please, so that I cover as well?
We absolutely can
Thanks.
take.
I mean, if you're just
points.
throwing out random scores, at least give me my cover.
Can we just make
Jesus,
sure that's gonna
Mike.
happen? We've threaded some good needles on this show before, so I think
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility.
Oh yeah, I could see.
All
I
right.
could see over. I mean, CJ Donaldson's an incredible running back for West Virginia, so I could see this game shooting up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they had three players rush for over 75 yards against OK State last week. Him, Jaheim White, Donaldson, and Garrett Green. I mean, I just think they're just going to keep the ball on the ground and keep trucking away.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's take us over to a game that Stefan cares much about this weekend, and we have 3 picks on this total. So let's just start this off here. All of which I think are none of our picks I think contradict each other. I'm taking Ohio State and Oregon under 54.5. I think this was a tough one for me to find my favorite pick on. Because the offenses are really good, but the defenses are even better. We got 2 top 10 defenses squaring up. I think no one's going to want to make the big mistake. You know, I think there is going to be a little more conservative play because, like, this does have playoff implications, and, like, you don't want to get blown out by the other team. So I don't think anyone's going crazy in this game. And that's really all I got is I don't see either team getting over 27 points apiece. You know, maybe even one team does a lot worse than that, which kind of cues up Stefan as to how he thinks his Oregon Ducks are going to do with your couple picks here.
Yeah, before I do that, Mike, what's your read on this game?
Man, I don't really know, to be completely honest.
Because you don't have a play, right? So you're
I don't have a play. I'm staying off of this one primarily because I feel like we still haven't really seen Ohio State be tested. So I don't really fully know what to expect from them. I mean, on paper, they're loaded, right? They've got studs everywhere. And they handled Iowa with ease, but I mean, maybe Iowa's a true test? I don't, it kind of just depends on how you look at that defense. But Oregon, on the other hand, I mean, Boise State, like, we thought that was a joke at the time, but you look back and it's like, okay, Boise State is actually something now. So I think we have a little bit more understanding of who Oregon's going to be in this game, but I just don't really know what to fully expect from Ohio State yet. So I'm staying off of it for now, but I am definitely getting the popcorn ready.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting for sure. If you want to hear like my full breakdown, like Travis and I on Total College Football we spent like 15 minutes on the game, so you can check that out. But basically, I think you nailed it, Eric, when you were talking about the defenses here. I think Oregon's only chance of staying in this game is if Birch and Uiagalelei, DJ's little brother Mateo, them off the edge, if they can, and Dorless up the middle, not Dorless, the new guy. Dorless is in the NFL now, but our huge defensive tackle, Harmon, I think is his name. If they can be disruptive enough to slow down this running game, but again, you're talking about Quinshawn Judkins and Trevion Henderson and Will Howard at the quarterback position. If they can force them to have to throw the ball and rely on Will Howard, I still don't know if that's going to be enough to win the game because they've got Jeremiah Smith, they've got Emeka Egbuka, they've got G. Scott Jr. Like, they've got weapons. And so to me, I don't see a way outside of just a crazy turnover game where Oregon is able to keep up. They have been a bit better running the ball, but this last week against Michigan State was the first time Jordan James had a run of over 20 yards. So it's been a struggle this year. I expect Ohio State to win this game. I have them at -3, which is the regular line, but I'm also going to tease it, like do an alt line. I have a little side piece bet here. Ohio State -9.5 at like +176. I think they win by double digits. It's not crazy to think in a game that if Oregon gets behind, it's going to be tough for Dylan Gabriel to bring them back because he doesn't stretch the ball. He doesn't stretch the field. He doesn't go vertical. Yeah. He goes horizontal. So, and we've got small wide receivers right now. Like Jurian Dickey was a bit of a bust. He was supposed to be our big bodied receiver. We've got Tez, who's tiny, and Evan Stewart, who came over from Texas A&M, former 5-star, but he's not big either. So Terrence Ferguson repping the 303 at tight end might be a secret weapon for us. But
love it. We talked about him last week. A good text combo about him as a traitor to my Colorado Buffaloes. But I just think it's funny. I love some of my favorite bets are Stefan's anti Oregon Ducks picks.
Hey, though, like if it makes you feel like, look at the phone. Like we've got
I know
we've got Oregon rep in here, and I got Justin behind me. Yeah, I know.
I just don't like if I don't feel good, I don't pick CU. I don't bet against them.
That's fair. I'm not going to bet too much on it because I don't want to be sad if we win.
That's fair.
Yep,
that's fair. All right, Mike, why don't you tell us about South Carolina versus Bama? This game's in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah, in Tuscaloosa. I'm taking Bama -11.5 in the first half. Bama's 7th in the country in first half points at 24 points per game. They just got embarrassed by Vandy, we all know. And I expect them to be pissed off and come out and pull everything out of the box that they have and just beat them in the ground. Yep. So I think 11.5 is, pretty easy here. They only put up 14 last week in the first half, but they put up 30 in the first half against Georgia and 21 against Wisconsin the week before. South Carolina might get, 3-7, something like that, but it won't be much more than that, if anything. So I like this one a lot.
Love it. I love the bounce back. They're going to have something to prove. I'm sure there were Kalen DeBoer fire like pages in chat rooms asking for that man's job after last week. So I'm sure which is silly, obviously.
I think the craziest thing I heard is like Vandy had 13 points in the first quarter. They had never scored more than 13 against Saban's Alabama.
That's crazy.
It
was fun. It was fun to watch though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the lesser conferences before we come up and talk about the last couple of picks here. As some people know, I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. UNM has had the University of New Mexico, the Lobos. They have had a gauntlet of an opening schedule. Like they have played real hard teams. They've gone to Arizona. They've played Auburn. Like they have had just a crazy opening schedule. And does anyone think they were going to be that good? No, definitely not. They have been impressive, though, and they have Air Force coming to town, who is abysmal this year. Air Force has been losing just as bad or worse. So right now, I'm taking UNM -6.5. Air Force has been losing by double digits and like really bad double digits for most of this season. They are a very bad football team. Losing to double digits to Wyoming is horrendous. I don't know what happened in the water in Colorado Springs because like every once in a while Air Force has these competitive teams. So they're coming into Albuquerque this weekend. UNM has been putting up some real points even against good teams. I actually think they have 5 winnable games left. And I'm just putting this out there for when I'm right that UNM could make a bowl game this year. And I'm going to say it, and I don't care. Dampier is super fun. Bronco's an awesome coach. You go look at that Mountain West slate and the garbage they have left in their last 6 games. And I honestly think it could happen. We'll see.
I'm here for it. Let's go.
I'm looking at it now. I totally believe you, dude. Like
right?
Air Force, Utah State, Colorado State, Wyoming, San Diego State. Like, yeah.
If there's a 1-4 team that can still make a bowl game, it might be the Lobos with the right bounces their way. So
the Bengals of NCAA.
That's my most fun pick. I love watching these games. You guys are over watching the SEC, and I'm watching like Maction and bottom tier Mountain West games over here. So you can really get the full mix on this show.
I watched the Arizona game with you, and that was fun. Like that offense was electric.
Right?
I don't know what's more embarrassing, losing to Air Force by like, what was it, like 12, or losing to Baylor by like 28 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Like just got absolutely rolled there, but for Air Force, that is.
All right, Stefan, why don't you you got 2 more picks for us.
2 more picks.
Why don't we talk about the Kansas State Colorado game that I will be at this Saturday in Boulder? Give us your pick.
Yeah, I unfortunately I'm going to be picking against our Buffs. I'm going to be taking Kansas State -4 on the road. I think they just have a more talented roster, top to bottom. I think outside of the wide receivers of CU, and maybe Shedeur Sanders, of course, like it's advantage like on the lines, secondary, like it's advantage outside of Travis Hunter. But
I was gonna say, man,
but on the whole, I just think Kansas State has had a couple slip ups, but I think they're a very talented team. I mean, there's a reason they were like the second pick to win the Big 12 coming into the season, and I think Avery Johnson has taken quite a few steps forward in his ability to process a game. I think they're going to rely heavily on his legs, as well as Giddens and Dylan Edwards as well. It's a revenge game after all. So I think this game, I think it gets pretty loose. I kind of like the over in this one too. I think while both defenses have shown up at times, like they're both still, in my opinion, from a power 4 level, a bit below average. So I think both run games, I think Kansas State's run game and CU's pass game get going. And in a high scoring game, again, a low spread like this, I'll just take the team I think is gonna win. So I'm gonna go with Kansas State -4.
It'll be interesting. CU still hasn't given up more than 7 points in the second half. And then Dylan Edwards, if there's a strong wind, he'll just kind of blow over because that's how he kind of runs. But if he gets going, he's fast.
Fast.
No, my entire take on the game is on Avery Johnson. And if you let him run, which he will, I mean, sorry, if you can contain him, if you make him pass, he's terrible. I've seen some highlights, man, where he just is making the most boneheaded throwing decisions with tons of time in the, like, you keep him in the pocket. Like, I actually think CU rolls this game. If you don't, which is a very likely possibility, I think this goes really far south on CU pretty fast. So I will not be betting this game because I honestly don't know if you contain that man enough. So that's why I'm not betting this game.
No, that's fair. I actually lean a little bit to the Buffs and taking the points there. My thoughts there are Kansas State against BYU. We kind of saw that if they get behind, I don't know that they can keep up. They can't do much through the air to make big plays to make it happen. They're 115th in yards per game against the pass. And then like they put up 42 on OK State last week, but OK State's given up 500 yards a game every other game of the season. So I get concerned about the secondary and how Shedeur just kind of tears them up, and then what they can do to respond to keep up with that. Where it is just hard being at CU too, right, at night. Like they definitely get a lean there. So I'm on the other side of it a little bit, but we'll see who's right.
Yeah,
it's gonna be rocking, man. I'm taking my kids this game. They're gonna experience a wild college football game as far as the party atmosphere goes. It's gonna be wild. All right, Stefan, why don't you give us your last pick, and then Mike has a final parlay for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Washington traveling to Iowa. Yes, it's true that in the Big Ten, in conference games, teams traveling more than 2 time zones are 1-7. Well, that's going to change in a few areas because I also think Penn State is going to go on the road and beat USC. But I think Washington is just a far better team than Iowa. Iowa is like no offense, all defense, except for this year. They're not even really great at defense. So one of their best wide receiver who transferred over from Ohio State just opted out to redshirt for the rest of the year. I think that they'll really struggle to get their running game going, which is what they predicate everything off of. And while every game has gone over, it's not because they're doing a whole lot more overall. Like, I think they're a worse team overall, even though their offense is a little bit better because their defense has taken such a step back. I think Washington is for real. I think the loss against Rutgers was more just like we talked about this last week. Just they got really unlucky that game, and I think if they play that game again, they would win it. They were much better than Michigan last week, and I think the same thing holds true against Iowa. Like, who's better, Iowa or Michigan? And to me, that's a toss-up. So I think we kind of saw the blueprint for Washington here. Kenneth can get crazy, but I think Washington takes care of business, and I think it's +3 right now. So yeah, give me the points.
I like it. You tried to convince me last week, and I did not listen. And I'm a believer now.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you,
But hey,
for sure.
Don't give him credit. He was wrong about like 3 other picks.
Fuck the
So
Huskies.
are we all.
Fuck the Huskies, though.
Yeah, it hurts Stefan's soul to make this pick.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, take us home. You have a parlay for us.
I got a parlay of 2 big old dogs here. Give me Oklahoma +24.5 versus Texas with Miss State +41.5 against Georgia. You can get that at -120. We talked earlier about the SEC and just how freakishly close games have been this year. You throw in the fact that it's in Norman. And this game is historically pretty close. I do think Texas wins this with ease. I don't think they win by 25 points or more. And then Georgia has not beat a Power 5 opponent by more than 41 points with Carson Beck at the helm in 2 years. So I don't think that happens this year again. Mike Bobo. That's all I have to say to complete my argument for that game. I like
Bobo
this parlay a lot at -120.
It's disgusting, though. Like, I mean,
it is. It is.
So,
Plus
so gross.
It's like +63 points combined. That's perfect. I love it.
Hey man, money's money, right?
Yeah.
The Red River rivalry shootout showdown. We're not supposed to call it these things anymore. I forget what it is. Anyways, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I love the fact that like I think Mike's right, but there's years where the team who has no business winning this game shows up and wins this game, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Awesome. Well, this is it. This is the part of the show where we're going to run this down. Before we do, don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and wherever you get your podcasts. Hit all the positive buttons for us, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Mike, why don't you hit us with your picks first? I'll get mine. Sorry, and then Steve can take us home.
Yeah, so give me Miss State +21.5 in the first half at Georgia. Give me a parlay of Oklahoma +24.5 with Miss State +41.5 on the game at -120. Give me the Iowa at West Virginia over 51.5 and South Carolina versus Alabama. Alabama -11.5 in the first half.
Yeah, I'll take Syracuse, their team total over 30.5 at North Carolina State. Ohio State at Oregon, give me the under 54.5. Air Force at the New Mexico Lobos, give me New Mexico Lobos to take care of business at -6.5.
I like it. Let's go with Kansas State -4 at Colorado. We're going to take Iowa State -3 at West Virginia. Cincinnati +3 at UCF. Washington +3 at Iowa. Vandy +14 at Kentucky. Ohio State -3 at Oregon. And we're going to take a little side piece action with Ohio State -9.5. And we get that at +172.
Love it. Let's go make some money. Man, we are in the meat of the season. Have fun, everyone. This is a fun weekend.